you think the board was mischaracterized, then the disinformation board is being shut down because of disinformation? Is that what's happening here?
Look, I mean, the board was put forth for a purpose, right? To make sure that we really did
You want the truth? Do you want the truth? You can't handle well, I guess you can handle the truth. Maybe if we ever figured out what the truth was. This disinformation board, misinformation board has been thrown to the side. They've given up on it. Why are they giving up on it? Well, they said that it wasn't necessarily supposed to be about censoring. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be about controlling the conversation within the culture of the United States. It's about misinformation from international companies or countries, from international places all over the place. But the problem is, what information is real, what information is right, and what information is correct at the time, and blah, 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 blah. How do you get the right stuff? Who do you trust for the right information? Because who I trust for my information, you probably don't trust for your information, and there's probably valid reasons for both. And it didn't make a lot of sense, because if this is something that's going to be in the White House or in the administrations that's just going to be there, kind of like, I guess whenever what the fuck? What is it called? What are those things called? I guess it's going to be replaced and changed every time there is a different president or a different regime come in. Will they replace them and then the propaganda changes? Or is it more of a deep state type thing like the FBI, CIA, and those types of things? So it's still hard to figure out what exactly it is. And I'm sure there's probably more informed people than I am on the subject, because I've just been on the outskirts kind of watching, saying like, okay, they made this board and it was right around the same time Elon Musk announced that he was going to be buying Twitter. And there's a whole lot of drama going on with that. We'll probably cover that in a couple of days. Especially when it comes to the free speech stuff. I think that'll be an interesting conversation for us to have. But the disinformation board is gone now. The Mary Poppins of disinformation unfurled her umbrella and floated onwards. Nina Jankowicz, age 33, was supposed to lead the Department of Homeland Security's new disinformation governance. Only 3 weeks after the announcement, media reports say the board is being paused, and Ms. Jankowicz has resigned. Probably because everyone was making fun of her because she did a fucking Mary Poppins bullshit. I mean, if you're trying to convince children, sure, that's great. But if you're acting like a child and you're singing a song, changing the words that's originally made for children, and now you want grown adults to be trusting in you with their information, to be trusting you with the information that's disseminated to them. I don't know, man. I'm not into Disney. I'm not very much into Disney, especially nowadays. But I was never into Disney. I was never one of those Disney people. And hey, no offense to all you dudes out there who like Disney, but y'all weird me out. Dudes who are so into Disney, it's weird. So the Mary Poppins of misinformation or disinformation is gone. She also tweeted that she hoped the ad tech industry stops placing ads for masks and, worse, straight up disinformation on articles and info about coronavirus. That was in March 2020 when masks were dismissed, shortly before they were required. She said Hunter Biden's laptops should have been seen as Trump campaign product, but now it's actually came out that the the Hunter Biden laptop things are legitimate. So she should backtrack on that. Or, hey, it's weird how all this, you start a disinformation board and then you're guilty of disseminating disinformation. It's like, what? She also tweeted in 2016, this conspiracy theory: Trump had not one, but two secret email servers to communicate with influential Russian bank. Unbelievable. Disinformation doctor, refute thyself. Homeland Security said the board has been grossly and intentionally mischaracterized. Well, the problem is you created the board from the get-go. from the get-go, it should have been bad optics. You should have known that it was bad optics. Even the George Orwell point, naming it the Ministry of Truth, which is going to give you the truth, and you know that it's doing the opposite. Knowing that that is kind of how people think, especially when it comes to the government, they inherently do not trust the government, no matter what side it is. People inherently do not trust the government in general. If people already don't trust the government, putting out a disinformation board saying that we're going to be trying to regulate some information that's going in, some of the inflow of information that's coming into our country, people want to make sure that they get everything. And they are getting Chinese propaganda. They are getting Russian propaganda. But they have to decipher what is what really works for us. And I would hope, living in our smaller communities, in our cities, counties, and states, that we would be able to have the wherewithal to communicate with each other and understand that, okay, well, I've got this information from the internet, but I'm here now in person, and we're having these conversations at our local town meetings, at our local town halls, and we're on top of our own things, because being on top of your local stuff is what's most important anyway. And this is a national disinformation thing. So like I said in my original video talking about the disinformation board, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I didn't think it was going to be making that big of a difference. It was a fun thing to talk about, a fun thing to make fun of, and now it's gone. Oh yeah, almost like it really wasn't that big of a deal. A fun thing to harp on. They figured, oh, okay, we might as well drop it now because it's not that big of a deal for them to drop it. It's really not that big of a deal. So we're just talking about something that wasn't even going to be the disinformation. It wasn't even going to be a big thing anyway, because there wasn't much that it could even do from the get-go, because people would automatically not trust it. Oh, that's Trump's board of disinformation. I don't trust it. That's Biden's board of disinformation. I don't trust it. Oh, that's the United States. Oh, you mean the imperialists? I'm not trusting that either. I mean, we're American, and none of the Americans agree with majority of the politicians who make the decisions for us, which we know, elites, people with money, they make the real decisions. I get it. The whole episode has been comedic. Other than that, the government wasted your tuppence setting up a board that will probably never operate, or at least the audience at home must be hoping, but there's not a sequel, but there is no sequel. There's no sequel. So the disinformation board is gone. It's been paused. Jankowicz signed out. She gave up. She didn't want to do it anymore. The disinformation board is gone. Is it going to be that big of a deal now that it's gone? No. Was there a way for them to regulate it in the first place? I guess they were going to try. I guess that the point of the board was for them to go over some conspiracies maybe and then say like, oh, this is wrong, this is not right, blah, blah, blah. Either way, guys, one agency down, a few more to go.